We're busy solving an old problem that is with us for decades now, with a new approach enabled by Agentic generative AI. Cross-domain, cross-layer troubleshooting, root cause analysis, and change management is still a manual task. Still, after all these years. Why? And you know the situation, right? The networking guys upgrade the version of the firewall, streamline the firewall rules a little bit, do a load of tests, everything is working smoothly. Next day, the application guys discover that during the night, the backup of the database didn't go through. They open a ticket, they look at all their systems, and try to go and investigate what's going wrong. So what do you have at hand? You have observability solutions, visibility solutions for the networking guys, the server guys, the application guys, the database guys, all of that in isolation because structure of the software follows the organization, conveys law as its best, right? And there is no kind of cross-sharing because every department has their view of the world, their interpretation of the data, their schema. And now, how do we solve that problem at hand that we just described at the very beginning? Well, you put many people from the various departments into the room because when the application guys figured out that it's not their problem, they're going to go and call for a meeting. And then in that meeting, people huddle and relatively quickly arrive at the description of like, well, it was the networking guys this time causing the problem. So this is not a new problem, right? How do we solve that so far? What is the classic approach? The classic approach says, well, let's go and put all the data into one place and have everybody interpret or adapt their interpretation of the data to a common interpretation, i.e. change their schema to a common schema. And then we are going to go and create logic, reasoning logic on top of that common schema to arrive at cross-domain troubleshooting and root cause analysis and even kind of change management planning. That's one way to do it. But it's impossible to do in many situations because of organizational boundaries. And like Satya Nadella said that very nicely in this recent BG2 podcast, is that like schematizing the world turned out just impossible to do. What can we do in this space here? How about we replace the human meeting with a meeting of agents? And rather than schematize like we do in IT, let's schematize how the human brain does it. Through language. Humans reason in language. Our abstraction to go and compare notes is language. Language, inner law unlock, reasoning. So we replace the meeting room where people say, let's form a hypothesis, or many, is it the network? Is it Kubernetes? Is it the database? Is it the backup software? And then we see like, let's go and collect data from the various systems, translate that into natural language because that's what the humans do, and see whether we can go and find proof in the information that we retrieve from the various systems. And retrieval would not only be from the observability solutions, but also from the backend knowledge bases, right? So we would retrieve, say, from our backend knowledge bases as we have, say, 30 plus years of information in there on Cisco bugs. We see whether we can go and either falsify the hypothesis, well, it's not Kubernetes, or it's not the network, or it's not the database, or whether we can go and verify the hypothesis and then double down and try to go and reformulate the hypothesis. It might be this. It might be the firewall. Now let's look further at the firewall. And then we go and trickle in. And in the course of that, these agents will not only like look at post-mortem data, forensic data, but they'll also go and be able to interface with the systems like a human does directly. Because when we troubleshoot, we interface with the systems directly. So you see like a collection of agents is able to go and do pretty much like what humans do. And rather than have humans huddle in a room, we can have agents huddle in that room, do this very quickly upfront whenever a ticket is created, either automatically, say through Thousand Eyes, or like through a system like ServiceNow, you can immediately attach a first level of investigation into this thing and resolve things that are cross-domain really quickly, removing the need for the meeting room, and also removing the need for schematize the world, the alignment of various things in an ongoing way. Memory is an important aspect of this overall thing. So individual agents obviously need to memorize, learn short-term and long-term. So what have I seen in the past? Can I go and draw conclusions really quickly from what I've seen in the past, rather go through this iterative loop? But agents, like here, you have a retrieval agent, you have a hypothesis agent, you have a validation agent, you have an agent that builds a model of the system so that you can go and do predictions into the future, so that I might not encounter difficult situations in the future, but can go and do this preemptively. Like, think of an agent building a digital twin for you. But these collections also need to learn. So we're building collective memory, collective information knowledge base build up. So we're learning as a group. So it's exciting times ahead as we're moving, say, to collective memory, collective learning, collective forgetting. There is still a load of stuff that is in the move in the agentic system that will help us transition services to software. Do you want to go and join the discussion? Come and see me at Cisco Live in Amsterdam, second week of February. I literally have 4 sessions that are all touching on the various aspects of agentic systems for pre and post deployment planning, troubleshooting, and the likes.